What's up everybody, Subaru's fan here for another weekly update. So, lots of exciting stories to go over, so I'm just going to get right into it. The first is a story that was reported by caradvice.com, it's an Australian website here, and they're reporting on the new 2019 Ford Ranger. And now, the Ranger has been around in Australia and the Asia Pacific markets for a while now. It never did really leave, unlike here in the United States. So, there's two different versions of the Ranger testing in Australia currently. There's the one for them and the traditional one, and then there's the one that's going to have some different changes and be left-hand drive, of course, and things like that here for us in the States. And so there's a couple different versions there, testing. And so what's interesting is there's spy shots of the normal Ranger. There's also spy shots of the Everest SUV, which we also don't get here in the United States. Some people are thinking that's what they're going to be calling, that's what the new Bronco is going to be when it's brought here. A lot of people think though the Bronco is going to have unique styling and be completely different looking, even though it may be based on that same platform. So that's still, the jury is still out on that one, so who knows. But the interesting thing is, in addition to that normal Ranger spy shots, there was a Ranger Raptor that was spied, and the spy photographer said that it actually sounded like it had an EcoBoost V6 in it, much like the F-150 Raptor. So, very exciting. And also, in Australia, apparently it was trademarked Ranger Raptor a couple of years ago. So, at least for Australia, this seems like almost a certainty. Here in the States, though, I'm guessing we would also get it as well. I don't see why not, especially since the Ranger is going to be coming over here in 2019 for us. And but yeah, it looks really awesome. It's basically the same treatment you get with the F-150, just transported over onto the Ranger here, and looks really cool. So awesome to see those, and kudos to Car Advice for spotting those here. Other Ford truck news, while we're on this, just very briefly before I get to all the other cool debuts this week. The 2018 F-150 specs came out, and the main thing that's interesting for Mustang fans like myself is the specs for the 5-liter V8 came out. Now, the 5-liter V8 has different cams in the F-150, and it's tuned for torque and stuff more so than for the outright horsepower. So the improvements aren't going to be the same as they are for the 2018 Mustang. Having said that, though, the new 5-liter V8 in the F-150, now has the both port and direct injection combo, and so it's going to have an additional 10 horsepower over the outgoing just port injected V8, and so now 395 horsepower there for the 5-liter, and then the torque is up by 13 pound-feet to an even 400 pound-foot. Now, again, the port injected 5.0 in the Mustang, the current one already has 400 pound-feet of torque and 435 horsepower. So it's going to certainly be more than a 10 horsepower upgrade, most likely. How much more? I don't know. It might not be the 470 horsepower that some people are hoping for. It might be more like 450, 460 range. So we'll just have to wait and see, but people's hopes of it totally destroying the Camaro in the numbers game may not turn out. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Other tidbits here for the other F-150 engines. There's that new 3.3-liter V6 that's replacing the 3.5-liter V6, and that also has the combo direct and port injection, and now does 290 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque, which is an increase of 8 horsepower and 12 pound-foot. And then the 2.7-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6 that's been around the F-150s. That also adds that port injection along with the direct injection to help with the reliability stuff and whatnot. And so that now has 400 pound-feet of torque, which is 25 pound-feet more than before as well. And horsepower is 325. So the 5-liter still has the most horsepower, but the torque of that 2.7-liter is the same as the V8, which is crazy. And then there's also, they say there's going to be a 3-liter turbo diesel V6. It's going to be available next spring, and that's going to come with a 10-speed automatic, the 10-speed autos in all the 2018 F-150s here. And also they said that all the engines now get standard stop-start technology, which is interesting to see as well, and hopefully there's a button to turn it off, because that's always annoying in every car that I seem to test. Also, they've revealed a few info for the 2018 Ford Expedition, which has a couple of different engines. There's the twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6, and that does 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque now, which is better than the 365 and 420 of before, so an extra 50 pound-feet of torque and an extra 10 horsepower. And the Expedition Platinum model sounds like it's getting an engine similar to what you get in the Lincoln. So 400 horsepower, 480 pound-feet of torque in that Expedition Platinum, and it's the same 3.5 liter V6. And then the Expeditions all get the 10-speed automatic and auto stop start as well. So anyway, interesting to hear that, all the Ford truck news here, but there's some really exciting exotics and supercar news that came out this past week, so let's get right into that. Alright, so first, a lot of you video gamers probably already know this, but E3 was this past week, and the Forza Motorsport 7 debuted there, for the Xbox One, and so along with that debut, they showed one of the featured cars in the game, which is actually a brand new Porsche, the 2018 Porsche 911 GT2 RS, which just last week I talked about some spy shots and a ride along that Evo got in the new GT2 RS, and they gave some rumored specs for it. They said that'd be about 641 horsepower, which is 21 more than the outgoing GT2 RS from the previous generation, and should be a better performing vehicle in every way, but they did not give any specs. It wasn't a normal vehicle debut. It was just, hey, look, here's the new one, and we got 3 pictures of it here, and it was just shown at the show, and that's it. So no details yet. I'm sure that'll all come shortly, but for now, we just know what it looks like here from 3 different angles, and that's it. But anyway, cool to see that at least. Another supercar that debuted this past week is the McLaren 570S Spyder, and it's really, I think it looks really, really good. I mean, it has a similar type of deal as the Ferrari 488 Spyder, where it has those Targa hoops that come up, so it's not a completely flat back like an Audi A8 Spyder or something like that, but does look good. I really love it, and I mean, especially with the top up there, it basically looks almost exactly like the normal 570S coupe. So really nicely designed, removable top there that goes up and down, I think they said in 15 seconds, so very quick working top there. And yeah, as far as performance goes too, it really doesn't have much of a sacrifice. It's an extra 101 pounds heavier, like you would expect with all the additional mechanisms there for the convertible, but the performance is really the same 562 horsepower, same 3.1 seconds 0 to 60, same 204 mile/hour top speed with the top up. With the top down, they say it's reduced to 196. They say it's just as stiff as the coupe. It has a slightly longer rear spoiler, so it even has the same downforce. So they wanted it to be even Stevens here. So that's what they did here, and it's pretty impressive. Other things to note, now it has a little rear window that can be lowered or raised regardless of whether the top is up or down, so you can have it with a little wind deflector, or if the top's up, you can lower that little window to get some extra exhaust noise without taking off the whole top, which is a great feature, and so very awesome for that. And then otherwise, as far as the price goes, it's only about $10,000 more than the coupe, which is about in line with exotics as far as whenever they switch to a convertible version. So the starting price for these is going to be $208,800, and they're available to order right now. And it's a pretty good bargain. I mean, that is more expensive than an Audi A8 Spyder, the standard one, and more expensive than a 911 Turbo S, but it's about 50 grand cheaper than a Ferrari 48 or Lamborghini Huracan Spyder. So overall, I think it's actually a pretty good value for very, very impressive performance, and so cool to see that. Speaking of the Audi A8 Spyder, though, Audi this past week, maybe in an attempt to one-up the McLaren, they revealed the Audi A8 Spyder V10 Plus. Now, we've already seen the A8 Spyder, the standard V10 version with its 540 horsepower for a while now. Really nice here with the redesign. Anyway, the Plus is the typical treatment as the normal Coupe Plus did, with an extra 70 horsepower. So now 610, same as the Huracan. 0 to 62 takes 3.3 seconds, which is better by 0.2 seconds over the normal one, so yeah, a little bit faster. It's also a little bit lighter, actually, because even though the whole Spyder thing weighs about 97 pounds more than a standard coupe, it's actually, the whole package weighs about 55 pounds less than the regular R8 Spyder, and they say that's because of it has more lightweight bucket seats, carbon ceramic brakes, and then lighter wheels, and all of those help to lighten up this vehicle. So it's a little leaner than your standard R8 Spyder. But either way, I mean, both are great. And anyway, these are going to be available in Europe in late summer, and we'll be getting it here in the States probably sometime later, but we will be getting it. So anyway, cool to see that. Koenigsegg actually this week just sold their last Regera, which is, they said they were only going to make 80 of them, and they have sold the 80th one. I don't think they've built them all yet. That takes them a while to do, but that's all they're doing of those. Now, with the way Koenigsegg operates, they say they don't have anything currently available, but there's a Regera RS or something like that right around the corner, and I'm sure Koenigsegg has many more vehicles up their sleeve, but anyway, cool to see that they have at least sold out of those. Jaguar this past week has just revealed the XF Sportbrake, which is a beautiful wagon, and I'm just really glad that they're making this thing, for one, and two, they're even bringing it here to the United States, even though all the Germans really, for the most part, have pulled out of the wagon game, and they know just everyone wants SUVs, sadly, these days, and so, but Jag's taking a risk here, and they're bringing the Sportbrake to us here in the States, and I really, again, Jag, I love their leadership, I love all the decisions they make, putting awesome performance variants of every single model available, having the wagons and all that kind of stuff. It's just, they're awesome. Anyway, so this wagon, it's really versatile too. 31.7 cubic feet of cargo space there behind the rear seats, so I mean, that beats even a lot of these SUVs and whatnot these days. So just really impressive. It's going to be available only with all-wheel drive and only with the supercharged 3-liter V6 that does 380 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. They say the wagon will do 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. It's the same interior as the XF sedan, except that it has a huge glass roof that cannot be opened, but it's just a huge pane of glass. Looks awesome. Now, if you don't want to see the sky all the time, you can. It has, apparently, in order to close the I guess there's a little sun visor type deal. In order to close that, you have to wave your hand past the sensor. There is no physical button, which I could imagine that going a little wonky at some point, but it's a cool idea nonetheless, and hopefully it works well in execution. But yeah, I mean, otherwise though, it's just all good news here. As far as pricing goes, it's not cheap. Most wagons, when they do bring them here, like the Mercedes E-Class wagon, which is another one that is available here, they're all kind of pricey. This one is no different. $71,445 is the starting price, and there's only a few options you can really get for these, and so fully loaded, they'd probably be still under 75, but just awesome to see that. Other Jag news here is that they actually are already building the I-Pace SUV, which is their fully electric vehicle that they have. It's going to be kind of like a little pseudo SUV deal, and it's got a 90 lithium kilowatt hour battery, and so they said like 220 miles of range. Should compete with the Tesla Model X pretty evenly. And so anyway, they're going to be revealing, because we don't even know what the production version looks like. We've only seen the concepts twice now, and the last concept was just revealed at the LA Auto Show in November, so fairly recently, and they're already building these. And they say that they're going to be showing the production form of this at the Frankfurt Motor Show in September. But the reason why they're able to build them so quickly is that Magnus Steyr, which is an off-site company that specializes in producing vehicles for companies that can't kind of do it themselves, they worked with them alongside, so that Jag was engineering the vehicle and all that kind of stuff, but then this other company was working on how to produce it, effectively and cheaply and get it out there quickly. So it's going to be built in Austria at their plant, not at Jag's plant. But the big news here is, they're beating everybody except Tesla and Chevy, basically, to the electric vehicle game. It's really impressive, because we know Audi, BMW, and, Porsche and Mercedes all want to have fully electric vehicles, but they're not coming for at least another year or two. So Jag to be the first one out of the gate here is hopefully going to really help them out. Hopefully they it turns out to be a big hit. They're going to be actually on sale later this year. So sometime this year, they're actually going to already be for sale in Europe. And they're going to be a 2018 model for Europe. Here in the States, we're probably not going to get it until sometime early next year. And so because of that, they'll probably just market it as a 2019 model year here. But either way, they're beating everyone to the punch, and really cool. So awesome to see them doing that. Another SUV that was the pricing was announced this week was the 2018 Volkswagen Tiguan for the United States, because it's already been available over in Europe, but here in the States they made a long wheelbase version so that it can have a third row, since that's what it takes to be competitive in this segment here in the States. And so this the Tiguan for us here is going to have a third row available, and they're going to be starting at $26,245. And so we've already seen what they look like and everything. It looks good, and should be a pretty good value proposition as as well for those wanting, you know, a nice looking three-row vehicle, I should say. Pretty cool to see that. One thing that does not look so great, though, BMW revealed the 6 Series Gran Turismo this past week, and fans of the 6 Series are going to be really annoyed because, you know, we just recently heard that the 6 Series, you know, coupe, which is what the 6 Series originally was a coupe, was killed off, and it's going to give way to the new 8 Series, which is all fine and dandy. They said, you know, they're going to still have the 6 Series Grand Coupe and the 6 Series Convertible, I believe, but they said no coupe, of course. But they said that they would be adding on another model. That other model is the 6 Series Gran Turismo. And basically what it is a new version of the 5 Series Gran Turismo that they wanted to try and move up market. And so they just put the 6 Series badge on it instead of a 5 Series badge. And the 5 Series Gran Turismo looked similarly dorky. This one is based on the new, you know, on the new 5 Series. So it's got, you know, the similar type of headlights and taillights. But they do say it's different than a 5 Series as far as the actual shape goes. It's slightly taller, obviously, and then it's wider than the new 5 Series as well. So it is a little more proportional. At least they tried to. But I mean, again, just my personal opinion, but I think it looks awful, and I don't know why anyone... I mean, I don't even like SUVs, but I would rather have an SUV over something like this. It just does not look athletic. It does not look cool in any way. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on those. But the biggest kicker for this thing is the price. So if you were to get just a normal brand new 5 Series, 540i, really nice car, still has plenty of room, they start at $57,000. If you want this hatchback version, is essentially what this is. Same kind of engines, similar kind of performance. It's about 0.2 seconds slower 0 to 60 than a 5 Series, but similar performance and all that kind of stuff. For this 6 Series Gran Turismo, the 640i starts at $70,695. So you're looking at an increase of almost $14,000 extra for that shape over a normal 5 Series. Like, I feel like it's just destined to fail. But I mean, they continue to build these things for whatever reason, so someone must buy them and like them, because, you know, the 5 Series Gran Turismo, I don't think that really sold very well either, but like I said, they're continuing on. So anyway, interesting to see that. Speaking of questionable design choices, though, Hyundai this past week revealed the Kona compact crossover. The Kona's been teased for a while now, and it was revealed in Korea here and South Korea. And so it's coming to Europe and the United States later on this year. But, I mean, I don't think it looks bad, but it's like such a Jeep Cherokee ripoff in the front there. I mean, the headlamps that they're down lower and the accent lighting there above is almost identical to a normal Cherokee. Like, I don't know. Again, it's so unoriginal. I mean, it obviously has a different grille and it doesn't look exactly like the Jeep, but it's just so similar. Like, come on, like. I don't know. Anyway, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I don't think I'm the only one, though, that thinks it looks very similar to a Cherokee there in the front. But anyway, it's going to be very competitive. It's going to have all the usual technology you find in other Hyundais. They didn't announce pricing yet, but we know it's going to be very competitive. This is supposed to be underneath the Tucson as the cheapest and smallest, most affordable crossover for Hyundai, and will probably sell like hotcakes here in the United States. It's going to have optional all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive is standard. It's going to have 2 different engine choices, most likely here in the States. There's going to be 4 total for the rest of the world with diesels and stuff, but of course they won't give us those. So we're going to get 2 gasoline engines. The first is a 2-liter inline-4 that does 147 horsepower, and so we don't know the weight of this thing, but they say that 0 to 62 takes 10 seconds with that engine. So nice and slow, and then, I mean, that's average, though, for, I think, these little crossovers. But then there also is going to be an upgraded engine they're going to offer. It's the turbo 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder and the 7-speed dual clutch, kind of like the Veloster Turbo setup, although in this application it's only going to do 175 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. But they say 0 to 62 will take 7.7 seconds, which isn't awful. You know, that's, you know, right up there with like the new Civic Turbo Coupe and things like that. So, you know, not terribly slow, but still, you know, just hopefully they'll do an end performance version since they seem to be wanting to hop up crossovers recently. But anyway, yeah, let me know your thoughts about the looks in the comments below. But yeah, expect to see these things everywhere, you know, by the end of this year. So interesting to see that. Honda has showed us a few more images here of the 2018 Honda Fit refresh. Now, we only have 4 images still. Don't know what the interior looks like or anything, but it's just mostly, you know, revised headlights, front bumper, rear bumper, tail lights. Honda Sensing's now available, which is all those safety features, and they also say there's a new sport model, and it looks mostly like it's just black wheels and a sportier appearance, but they said more details will be coming down the road, so who knows, maybe it'll get more power and actually be sportier. But anyway, interesting to see that. The more interesting Honda news, though, is this past week, Honda officially revealed a picture of a camouflage 2018 Accord, which they say the new Accord is going to be coming towards the end of this year, later on this year sometime. And the big news here that they officially announced, Honda did a press release and said there is no more V6 engine, which is kind of a big deal considering the Camry was just announced. You know, it's going to have its V6 engine still, and there's still a few other V6 offerings in this segment, but instead there's going to be the 1.5 liter turbo engine, which, you know, is similar to like what you see in the Malibu, but you know, the Civic also has that same 1.5 liter turbo, but that totally fits, you know, as a good standard motor. But they're going to be offering the 2 liter turbo motor out of the Honda Civic Type R in the Accord. And it gets even better because not only are you able to get this motor, but both of these engines are going to be available with 6-speed manual transmissions. I had to like read this like 3 times to actually like let it set in. Like, is this real? Honda is actually giving us a high performance, you know, I don't know if it's going to be quite as much power as the Type R motor, probably a detuned version, but the outgoing V6 did like 278 horsepower, so I feel like it's got to be at least a little bit more than that. So, you know, 280 plus horsepower, 6-speed manual in what they're calling a leaner and more aggressive looking Accord. That could actually be pretty awesome. I mean, obviously it'll probably still be front-wheel drive, although if they offered all-wheel drive, then it would really be a pretty mind-blowing proposition. But even still, manual, almost 300 horsepower in an Accord. I think that all the guys out there that want, or ladies that want, you know, a sporty family sedan, want a manual. It's awesome to see Honda sticking with the manual transmission and, you know, sticking with a fun engine here. That is just such great news, and I'm so excited to hear that. So anyway, we'll get all the details as far as, you know, what the actual horsepower amounts are and all that kind of stuff here down the road. But yeah, so cool to see that. We have some new details this week on the upcoming 3 Series, because now that the 7 Series and the 5 Series have been revealed and all that's come out, the 3 Series is the next focus. And so the German magazine Auto Motor und Sport just has a few new details that they're claiming about the 3 Series here that are interesting. The first is it's going to be 2.3 inches longer. It's going to have a 0.7-inch longer wheelbase as well. And they say it's actually going to lose about 88 pounds supposedly as well, which all good news. It's going to have the typical assortment of 4- and 6-cylinder engines and a 3-cylinder engine, most likely turbo, of course, as an option. And that'll probably be the base motor, I guess. They also had a few interesting tidbits here about the new M3. They claim it's going to have a mild hybrid system with an electric motor that's going to be mounted in between the engine and the transmission, and it's going to have a 48-volt electrical system, and so the power output, they said, combined for all that stuff, is going to be 453 horsepower, is what they're guessing. It sounds awfully specific, so maybe they're right on the nose there on that. But anyway, interesting to hear all that, and we'll just have to wait and see if it all turns out to be true. Another vehicle, now getting into some spy shots here this week, Lamborghini was spied testing the Huracan Performante Spyder, which looks exactly like how you would expect it to look. It's the Huracan Spyder with the Performante stuff on it. And that's about it. Nothing more to really discuss there. I don't know when it's going to be revealed. Frankfurt Motor Show sounds about right, you know, in September. But they could wait a little longer, maybe LA in November instead. But anyway, cool to see that revealed, or showed off here with the spy shots at least. And then Mercedes was spy testing the new AMG version of the G-Wagen. We know it's probably the AMG version because there's some side exit exhaust pipes there, which is usually a signature of the AMG G-Wagons. But the interesting thing here, the most interesting thing, is that that also we see some interior shots, and although the exterior looks very much like the outgoing G-Wagen, and they're probably going to keep it with that very similar look, the interior looks like it's going to be completely overhauled and have a dash that looks similar to what you see on the current E and S class Mercedes, although it does look like it has analog gauges instead of the completely digital setup that you do get in the other vehicles there, although digital could be an option, of course. But other things here, you can see it has the same kind of air vents you see on the E class and S class, and very nice. And so a few other little things you can pick up there, but overall, still very much a G-Wagen, but some really nice enhancements there to bring it in line with the rest of the Mercedes models. Who knows when we're going to see the final version of that? It seems like they've been testing these things forever, so I feel like it should be coming fairly soon, but who knows exactly when. Cadillac was spied testing the XT4, which is their new small crossover that's supposed to compete with all the other small, compact luxury crossovers. The interesting thing about this one is that it's got what looks like a plug-in port that's covered up there on the front fender, which, shouldn't be too much of a surprise. We know, that the CT6 has a plug-in hybrid variant now, and so I'm sure, it makes sense to offer it here in the XT4. And, we can see a little bit, like what the grille is going to probably look like there and stuff, but I don't think those headlights are still production ready, and there's still a lot of stuff that will probably change because we're not supposed to be getting these here until the middle of next year sometime is when they'll be revealed. So lots of testing still to do, but anyway, cool to see that. And the last couple of things here are some spy shots sent in by you viewers, and I really appreciate once again you guys sending stuff in. If you do happen to see a camouflaged or interesting vehicle out on the road and you can safely take a picture of it, or have someone else take a picture or video of it for you, that would be great. I'd always love. You can always email me or send it in through the social media links in the description below. Anyway, though, the first shot was sent in by Valerian, who spied in San Francisco this sedan that from first glance looks like a larger, newer Lexus GS possibly, or something like that. It doesn't match up with any other vehicles we've seen current spy shots of, from any of the major outlets, so I'm not really sure what to make of this, and unfortunately we didn't get a good shot of the front end there to see what it actually looks like there, but maybe he'll see it again out there in the future. But anyway, let me know what you think that might be in the comments below. Mike J sent me in two different vehicles here. The first was in Phoenix. He saw an Audi A8 that I think it was an Audi A8 at least. It looks very much like one that was camouflaged there. Could be a new A6 as well. Either way, interesting to see that. And then he also spied, it's almost certainly is a Nissan Titan in Santa Monica. I don't know what all the camouflage is about. It doesn't look like a sportier version. It looks like a pretty standard Titan, but maybe they're doing some refresh changes already, although it's only been out for a year or two. So I'm not sure exactly why they have a camouflage Titan running around California. But anyway, interesting to see that. And once again, let me know what you think that might be in the comments below. The last thing is I just want to wish Richard Hammond a speedy recovery. Anyone that's been following any of the automotive news this past week knows that Richard Hammond was involved in a serious crash while filming the Gran Tour this past week, and it sounds like it was pretty terrifying. So he lost control. He was driving a Rimac Concept 1, which is super crazy expensive electric hypercar. Lost control somehow, went off the road, rolled it, and he was able to get out of the vehicle before it burst into flames. But he did have a severely messed up knee, and they said he was in getting surgeries done for what he called a Swiss Army knee. He was a great sport about the whole thing and took it really well. But it sounds like he's not gonna be able to be driving, for a good while here. At least a few weeks or a couple of months. So it's putting the whole Grand Tour thing into a spin as far as when it's actually going to be able to be the new season will come out and what they're going to do, because Jeremy Clarkson's apparently now frantically rewriting these episodes to try and accommodate him, Richard not having use of his knee and whatnot. So I'm not sure what's going to all happen with that, but the bottom line is it doesn't matter about the show. It just matters that Richard is safe, and sounds like he's going to be okay. And this is the second close call for him. He was in a bad accident, I think like 10 years ago or something, with a dragster, and that one was a lot more serious, actually, as far as his injuries, but this one still is pretty crazy, and so really glad that he turned out okay there for the most part. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys, so let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Take care.